testing. Testing is a particular kind of assessment which focuses on eliciting a specific sample of performance. The implication of this is that in designing a test, we construct specific tasks that will elicit performance from which we can make the inferences we want to make about the characteristics of the students, groups, or individuals. There are different sorts of testing, including achievement testing, communicative testing, competence testing, diagnostic testing, integrative testing, performance testing, progress testing, proficiency testing, psychometric testing. Achievement testing, it is used to determine whether or not students have mastered the course content and how they should proceed. The content of achievement tests, which are commonly given at the end of this course, is generally based on the course syllabus or the course textbook. Pay attention that with achievement test we have content, we have course, we have students should achieve something with this course. Progress testing, it is used at various stages throughout a language course to determine learners' progress up to that point and to see what they have learned. Again, with achievement test, we said that we have students. But with progress testing, we have learners. Proficiency testing, it is used to measure learners' general linguistic knowledge, abilities, or skills without reference to any specific course. But with achievement test, we have specific course and we have specific content. Some proficiency tests are intended to show whether students or people outside the formal education system have reached a given level of general language ability. Others are designed to show whether candidates have sufficient ability to be able to use language in some specific areas, such as medicine, tourism, etc. Such tests are often called specific purposes test. Diagnostic testing, which seeks to identify those areas in which a student needs further help. These tests can be fairly general and show, for example, whether a student needs particular help with one of the 4 language skills, or they can be more specific, seeking to identify weaknesses in a student's use of grammar. Psychometric testing, which is aimed at measuring psychological traits such as personality and the relation of personality with language learning, intelligence and the relation of intelligence with language learning, the same with aptitude, ability, knowledge, skills, which makes specific assumptions about the nature of the ability tested. For example, that it is unidimensional and normally distributed. These traits, unidimensionals and normally distributed. With normal distributed, that's the mean. We haven't all the persons very high, nor all the persons very low. No, we have acceptable amount or rate of students, for example, gifted students, and acceptable rate as disabilities students, and acceptable rates again those with acceptable levels or mid levels, etc. It includes a lot of discrete point items. Discrete point items. With discrete point items means the items that measures specific knowledge or specific ability. What a test will appraise or measure depends on what testers wish to know and what the testers believe a test to be. There is indeed a difference between competence testing. Competence testing, which is used to measure candidates, mean learners' acquired capability to understand and produce a certain level of foreign language, defined by phonological, lexical, grammatical, sociolinguistics, and discourse constituents. In order to make test takers' competence measurable and visible, testers turn of necessity to their actual performance, which may indicate their competence. Competence means their knowledge. How much knowledge in their mind? Competence. Their competence in grammar, competence in phonology, competence in sociolinguistics, etc. Their knowledge about these disciplines. How we can see this knowledge, how we can measure this knowledge, we can see them, touch them, measure them through the student's performance. Performance testing, which includes direct, systematic observation of an actual student's performance, or examples of a student's performances and rating of that performance according to pre-established performance criteria. Students are assessed on the results as well as the process engaged in a complex task or criterion of a project. A performance test measures performance on tasks requiring the application of learning in an actual or simulated setting. Either the test stimulus, the desired response, or both are intended to lend a high degree of realism to the test situation. For example, I ask a pair of students or group of students to perform specific situation, to perform, for example, in the market situation or street, asking about locations or any other situations. Through their performance of these situations, I, as a teacher, prepare specific criteria to measure their or to assess according to these criteria the students' performance. The students, how can I score their performance in speaking, in intonation, for example, phonetics, pronunciation, etc., speaking, vocabulary, etc. How can I assess them according to these specific criteria? With this actual situation, the test will be more authentic and more real. Communicative tests are supposed to measure communicative competence, which include linguistic competence, socio-linguistic competence, and strategic competence. There are two different types of tests. We have again integrative test and discrete point test. Integrative test and discrete point test. With integrative test include activities that assess skills and knowledge in an integrated manner. For example, reading and writing, listening and speaking. For example, ask them to read something and then summarize this passage or summarize what they have read. Through this activity, I'll measure their reading and writing. listening and speaking. Let them to listen to something and then ask them to discuss the topic, discuss the scene or anything else that they listen to. Again, through this activity, I'll measure the students listening and speaking. Therefore, I called it what? Integrated test. Discrete point test? No, vice versa, which contain items that ideally reveal the candidate's ability to handle one level of language and one element of receptive or protective skills. Receptive skills, yes, listening and reading. Protective skills, speaking and writing. Yes, with discrete point test, for examples, with multiple choices items, I measure only the student's ability in using present continuous, for example, or past, simple past, or with the true false. I may measure their ability in comprehending specific knowledge with a passage. Yes. Then discrete point test, measuring very limited area of knowledge. Thank you.